Hello, everybody. My name is Pasi Amayo, and welcome to this spotlight on global solutions for closing the energy ambition action. How many of you remember the UN Secretary General's high-level energy dialogue on energy? It was September 2021. And something interesting happened during then. Let me just check how many of you know what was launched during that high-level dialogue on energy. Brilliant. We have a great answer, the Energy Compacts. This was the United Secretary General's way of bridging the gaps for the energy ambition and the gaps by bringing forward international cooperation and global cooperation towards meeting those gaps. And what happened is different players came together to bring their commitments into one, and that is what we are going to be talking about during this segment. To introduce and to tell us the efforts that have been made 2 years later after the Energy Compacts were launched are two incredible speakers. And I'm going to introduce them, and as they come up, please do give them a round of applause. Our first speaker for today is Mr. Martin Niemetz, and he is a sustainable development expert on energy at the United Nations Department of Economics and Social Affairs. A round of applause.
Thank you, Pasi.
Nice to have you, Mr. Martin. Our next speaker for today is Ms. Kanika Chawa, and she is the Chief of Staff at the Sustainable Energy for All. So, the first presentation is going to be from Mr. Martin, and he's going to tell us what they're doing and are we on track on meeting the energy compacts.
Thank you very much, Pasi. And indeed, it's a great pleasure to share the success story of the Energy Compacts with you here at the International Vienna Energy and Climate Forum. So to start, Pasi already gave you some little bit of a background context, but I just want to also give you some insights on how we got this idea of the Energy Compacts before I then hand over to Kanika to give you the full picture. About 3 years ago, the United Nations member states decided, okay, we need to do more in order to achieve SDG 7, which is basically achieving universal energy access and accelerating energy transitions by 2030. So they asked the Secretary General to convene this high-level dialogue on energy that Pasi mentioned. And in the context of this high-level dialogue on energy, the UN member states were looking towards UN Energy to put forward some solutions on how we could accelerate progress on SDG 7. And that's where then we put forward this idea of the Energy Compacts, where UN Energy stepped in. And I have to say, UN Energy is a mechanism which brings together all of the UN agencies working on energy to coordinate and to maximize impact with their activities. So UN Energy forwarded this idea on energy compacts, and the energy compacts, at the heart of them, they do a lot of things, but at the heart of them, they are tools to mobilize voluntary commitments from all kinds of stakeholders, so governments, business, civil society, you name it. And we've been doing this for since then, even last September at the SDG Summit, the Energy Compacts figured very prominently as a high-impact initiative, and we've had a lot of success. It's really a success story. So we reached over $1 trillion of voluntary commitments already made through these energy compacts. So I mean, it's a stunning number. That said, it's not enough. We have to do more, and we will do more. And it's a joint UN energy initiative. I do have to highlight, however, that SE for All was really instrumental in getting this going and achieving this success. So it's not a coincidence that the Chief of Staff of SE for All is here on stage with me to tell you more about the energy compacts. So Kanika Chawla, Kanika, it's my great pleasure to hand over to you.
Thank you. And like you said, this is a joint effort, and we're so proud of the work that we've done with UN Energy, the work that we've done on the energy compacts. And it's really important to recognize that what is the problem that the energy compacts are trying to solve. And in reality, actually, it's the additionality of the compacts, right? There's so much work and progress that was made in the last few decades in target setting, in knowing that we need to have a whole of economy decarbonization by mid-century. But in reality, it's unclear how we are going to get there. And so the energy compacts are 2030 actions that we can take between now and 2030 to help realize our mid-century goals. They're entirely consistent and complementary with the Paris Agreement and with the NDCs, but they allow us to do deep dives and make the interlinkage as well between energy, climate, and development priorities. And so in many ways, I think what they do is they translate both the goal of SDG 7, but also how it interlinks with climate, but also how it interlinks with other SDGs. So the intersection of energy and gender, the intersection of energy and healthcare. And this is also why we have the energy compacts are open to all stakeholder groups, as Martin mentioned, government, private sector, civil society. But there are also complex issues where multiple partners come together and work together in order to make progress. And so we have several compacts, such as the one on no new coal, or the compact on 24/7 carbon-free energy, where there is private sector, civil society, and governments that work together to make progress, and they report on this progress. And I think, Martin, our greatest success really has been the monitoring. And so it is the kind of problem solving was why these compacts came to be, but it is that there is a lot of transparency in which the impact of the compacts is monitored and reported. So there's an annual energy compact monitoring report that, of course, is available on the UN Energy website, and then I encourage all of you to have a look. But what's really important is to say that we got $1 trillion or over $1 trillion of commitments. We can celebrate that, but what's really happening? And just in the last 2 years, between government and private sector alone, we've had over $60 billion, actually close to $70 billion, $69 billion of reported actions that have already taken place. And while, of course, much more needs to be done, as you said, this is already really encouraging. Similarly, we had a year where energy efficiency impact was not so good in 2021-22, but then in 2022-23, we've seen how energy efficiency impacts have grown significantly and a lot more action has come. So the annual monitoring allows us as well to understand what are the underserved sectors, what requires greater matchmaking. And while there is a long way ahead, I think there is a very specific set of actions and milestones that allow us to see that we are making progress. And so much more to do together, but please do join the Energy Compacts to report on everything that you're doing, to showcase your leadership, but also to realize, to kind of find the opportunity to work with other partners, because we are not in this alone.
What an amazing update from our two speakers for today. Another round of applause for them as they say goodbye to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor.
The one thing that I love about the Energy Compact is that it gave an opportunity for each and every single actor to contribute and give commitments. I mean, from the youth, academia, civil society, governments, private sector. And indeed, energy is the heartbeat of all development. And when we get that right, sustainable energy for all, we are truly on the path to achieving the ambitions that we have set.